Hey everybody, this is Jerry. So, as promised, I have another MMA fighter, and he also fought for the TFC on Team USA. So I got Ryan Walls, the big dude, the Rhino, and he's joining me today all the way from Ohio, and I am so honored, and this is going to be a great talk. So, welcome, Ryan.
Thanks, Jerry. Pleasure talking to you today.
Absolutely. So the first question that comes to mind is, you're a big guy, and did you try football or any other sport before you sort of got into fighting and martial arts and MMA and all that?
I did. Actually, I was pretty overweight when I was younger, and when I got into high school, wrestling came around, and I think that was the big thing for me. I had done football here and there, but with moderate success, and then I just didn't really have that much desire for it. When I got into wrestling, that was kind of like the game changer for me. I didn't get into wrestling till I was a sophomore in high school because our school never had it, and then just the work that goes into making a wrestler is far more difficult than any other sport. Not to take anything away from other sports, but it teaches you mental toughness on top of, a lot of other sports aren't really weight related. This one you have to maybe cut down to a weight class, so you're passing up on food and everything.
Wow.
But with wrestling, that's really where it started for me. And once I got out of high school, I did powerlifting for a while, and it was fun, but it just wasn't everything for me. And then I moved on to semi-professional football. I was hoping maybe, the league I was in, they were handing out scholarships to Division I schools if you were doing well enough. That was a good, just basically a good stage for you to try out on. Blew my knee out in like the 5th week of the season. ACL, MCL, strained my PCL. I mean, just horrible. The cool thing was, though, I was playing linebacker. Never played that position in my life up until that point. And I was leading the league in tackles even 3 weeks after I was out and injured. So I was doing well, but unfortunately accidents happen. Yeah. I played one more season, and I had kind of got into training a little bit, and I just felt like I worked out. I'm physically active. What can I really do though? I want to see. I didn't walk into fighting thinking I was going to be the best fighter. I wanted to do it to test myself, which is, you don't really hear that from a lot of guys I've trained, or trained with. They think it's all money and it's all fame. It's funny watching their eyes get, opened once they get into their first training camp. But, I kind of just got into it just for something to test myself and to test, what weightlifting and what wrestling and all my other sports might have done for me as far as fighting goes, because that's the most primal thing there is.
Exactly. And I assume, especially the wrestling, and I'm assuming the linebacker experience probably really helped you when you started learning how to fight, right? Yeah,
I'd say the wrestling was the biggest thing, and you can look at a lot of once people are done with the Olympics or Division I wrestling, that's one of the best bases you can have, because it always teaches you the best position to have in fighting. Not all fights stand on the feet, but it's just like the original UFC. You have guys who are world-class strikers, but when they get on the ground, they're like a fish out of water.
Yeah.
So that, but yeah, as far as football goes, it definitely teaches you, mental toughness. It's keeping your hand-eye coordination. That's helping that too. But I would say forced absorption is another thing. When you're learning to give a hit and take a hit, the same thing kind of happens in fighting. Yeah. As far as the football aspects of it go.
Exactly. Wow. So did you start out learning how to strike first, or was it a mixed kind of MMA gym, or what exactly was the sort of first martial art you took? Me and a buddy went to a bar that was playing the fights. It was Buffalo Wild Wings. Nice.
And we were just kind of interested in watching the fights, and there was couple local guys there that were, really great to talk to. We just got to, talking back and forth, and they actually had trained, and one guy was, he was an amateur MMA fighter, and I was like, man, that's awesome. I'd love to get and train with you guys sometime if that's cool. And the gym was just maybe a mile down from the bar where we were at, so I went there with the same buddy about 2 weeks later, and the guy who actually was running the gym, he's a UFC referee, Jerry Poe. So he was more into I think Dragon Kempo is his art that he studies under. He's a tall guy. I'm sure, if you look at any, I think the last UFC that was in Cleveland, he was reffing that one. But he's reffed in Bellator. He's a great guy. And he's actually even helped me out for a few fights in the past. But that was kind of my first foray into it. And I was so green that, I kind of felt like I was wasting the time for the guys who were fighting. I just kind of got in there. We trained a little bit. I was just kind of a body for other people. And, I had football going on too, so I wasn't trying to throw 20 different things into my mind at once. So I kind of, I did it for a while, then I left. But my stepbrother is probably the person I'll have to say that got me involved in fighting altogether. He got some private lessons to a guy in town. His name is Shane Lear, and actually all he does is teach, martial arts. He does it all over the world, but that's all he does full time. At the time, he wasn't. He still had an engineering job, and he was just doing, martial arts and grappling on the side. But we went up there, and we kind of told him, what the idea was, and I was like, I would like to fight. And his thing was, well, if you can get through my workout. And Shane's probably about 6'1", 100 and anywhere from 170 to 185 pounds. So he's pretty good shape guy. Ohio can be 95 degrees and 200% humidity. Wow. Sometimes. I swear to God, I think they're even looking into humidity training being like the new elevation training, but it gets really, really, really hot. So when you're trying to do 3-minute rounds of exercises with 30 seconds of a break, and then you're switching right into another exercise, that'll tell you real quick if this is something you want to continue to do or not. Sometimes that hurts worse than getting punched in the face, but regardless, I made it through the workout, came back the next day, did it, was there every day that week, and he's like, okay, I think this guy's going to stick around. I'm going to put my time into helping you be what you want to be. And that's the biggest thing with any fighter is you've got to have great people around you, because you could be the best fighter in the world, but if you don't have training partners or people that believe in you or tell you things that you don't want to hear just because it's going to make you better, you're not going to go anywhere. Exactly. So I'd say that's where I started. I trained about 6 months on top of the previous training that I had. And, I still wasn't the best. I could throw a 1-2 and a kick, and then the rest was just grab them and throw punches. But I trained about a good 6 months before my first amateur fight, and now I think I'm at 25 altogether with my amateur pros and kickboxing. And then the TFC fights that we had over in Europe. That was 2008, and 2009 was my first amateur fight.
I see. When you first started training, were you one of those guys who sort of had to stop yourself from trying to muscle your way through your opponents and then had to sort of learn the technique? Or were you always just okay, I'll just learn the technique first and I'll muscle away later?
I would say I probably muscled a little more, but I tried to always use that as my last resort. So I at least kind of knew that, this isn't going to work for everybody. And for the majority of the time, I was always bigger than the people I was training with. So I didn't want to use that as, I got out of, it's kind of hard to get out of a choke when the guy's, 140 pounds and I'm 240 pounds. Yeah. Not all the time, but, if you have so much more strength on somebody, it's easier to get out of those positions. So I tried as hard as I could to try to learn the technique first. But you know, that's one of the hardest things to master, is even just having the flexibility to get yourself into positions or get yourself out of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that's the biggest thing I've had trouble with in my career.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, what was sort of among all your fights before the TFC? What was like the most memorable fight?
I would have to say it was my pro fight I had in California. My teammate Sean Barnett was actually, he was brought out. It was Gladiator Challenge, which if you're familiar with Uriah Faber,
mm-hmm.
I think Matt Brown, Chael Sonnen, that's kind of where they got their their feet wet.
Mm-hmm.
Huge organization, but he was fighting Henry Cejudo, and he was I think it would have been Henry's third fight. He was 2008 Olympian in wrestling. This was a big matchup for Sean, and Sean, he already had maybe, I've lost count, but I'd say he probably had already 40 fights.
Wow.
And Sean was 22 or 23. He had a lot of amateur fights, and I can't remember his pro record at the time. But that could have been, if Sean would have won the fight, he could have been in the UFC within the next week.
Wow.
That's how important that fight was.
Mm-hmm.
So Jody Poffa, you had interviewed him.
Mm-hmm.
He was our coach from TFC. He actually said, "Hey, I got another guy. He's training his ass off. What can you do for him? He's light heavyweight. What can we do? I'd love to get him a fight." And the matchmaker basically said, "Well, we can get a fight for him, but he's going to have to pay for his own airline ticket out." I had one pro fight before that. I was in I can start with that one. This is why this one was so great.
Mm-hmm.
I had a pro fight in Tennessee. That was my first. Won that one by an arm bar in 1:30.
Nice.
And that I was going to fight back in February because it was going to be it was a $10,000 tournament. That's kind of what got me wanting to. All right, yeah, I want to continue this. I want to go to pro. I'm gloved up. I'm 3 fights out from my fight,
mm-hmm.
and this is going to put me in the tournament. So either way, I'm going to walk out with a decent amount of money for fighting. And my trainer Shane comes over to me and says, "I need you to be calm for a second." And I'm like, "What's going on?" They're stopping the fight card because they said they don't have enough insurance.
Aww.
So I'm in the back. I've been killing myself to get to this point just
mm-hmm.
for this fight, and they just cut the rug out from under me, pretty much. Pull the rug out from under me. They wrote me a check. They said we're going to give you half of your show money. Or all your show money and half of your win money.
Mm-hmm.
I get to Ohio and the check bounces.
Oh no!
And then I had to deal with that for forever, and then trying to deal with an athletic commission about getting your money back is trying to plant a tree on the moon. It's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So got over that. Had this fight. I was good enough to get some local sponsors. They were helping me out with giving me some money to help live out my dream.
Mm-hmm.
Got to California. I had to cut probably 18 pounds in a day.
Wow.
And a sauna. Sean's the main reason we're there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to take anything away from him, and he's helping me, cut weight. He's doing things he doesn't have to. He should be focused on his fight. But,
mm-hmm.
That's the thing you have with fighting. That's another great thing, is the brotherhood.
Exactly.
So, they're Jody and Sean, they're walking me in and out of the shower, making sure I'm not, to the point where I'm going to pass out.
Exactly.
It was a hard weight cut. I get to weigh-ins. I know I'm 204 pounds. All I want to do is drink water.
Mm-hmm.
I see my opponent, I didn't know anything about him. And nowadays you can kind of check out, videos or just find out how legit your opponent is. I couldn't see anything on this guy, which
mm-hmm.
I think kind of helps, because when you watch somebody else, you get the idea of what's he going to do and what can I do to stop it. When in fighting, you should just worry about what you're good at and imposing your will.
Exactly.
So I was kind of happy for that fact.
Mm-hmm.
But he strips down, weighs in. I hear 225 pounds. I lose it. I just cut 18 pounds, and this guy is 20 pounds over.
Oh, my God.
So with California, you know, on the Indian reservations where a lot of those fights happen, there's no commission involved.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a commission involved, the fight probably wouldn't have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Or they would have, you know, taken some money out of his purse, but I don't know what he was getting paid anyway. So, you know, when you're cutting weight, you really don't care what happens or what's going on. You just know that, hey, I'm still fighting. I'm happy. Jody is, he's through the roof mad, which is great. But, you know, he's like, hey, we're going to fight. We're going to fight. It don't matter. I hope you're ready to get your ass kicked, you know, under his breath, saying that to everybody else. So, you know, I'm nervous. I'm a couple thousand miles away from home. You know, I'm getting called out to the ring. I'm just like, you know, I'm just going to do what I can, and I'm not going to have any regrets. If I lose, I lose. You know, I tried. I get out there and I knock him out in 1:30. And I mean, it was a brutal knockout. I hit him with an overhand right. He dropped like a sack of bricks, and, you know, I finished him off with 2 more hammer fists. Just, you know, you got to make sure the ref stops it. That's the thing with traveling too, is you don't know. This guy could be the hometown favorite. You know, he hit flat. He could roll over, be back up, and then, you know, I missed my opportunity. So you got to finish him off.
Yeah.
And then I had a knockout bonus. I think I was the only knockout of the night. There was 47 or 57 fights that night.
Wow.
So that had to be probably my favorite fight. Just the atmosphere. You know, we were in. It was a 2,500 or 3,000 seat venue outside, you know, in San Jacinto's desert. It was a great moment. And then Sean fought well. He came up short at the end, at the last 5 seconds of the round, but I mean, I was still proud of him to go toe to toe with an Olympian. And I mean, I would have liked to have seen what the second round might have done, but. I'd say altogether we were all pretty happy with that one.
Wow. So you've been training with these guys that eventually you guys went to TFC with for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys were always sort of part of the same crew, part of the same people.
Yeah. The first time we weren't. We did have because the agency we signed through, Global Proving Ground, who basically kind of threw it in our lap. You know, about this opportunity, and you know, I've had contracts that, you know, were laid in front of me that just, you know, never happened, or some that seemed too good to be true, and I just thought, yeah, I don't know how this sounds. You know, I saw the original footage from the first one with, you know, the ropes and the tires,
and the tires,
and I'm thinking, I don't, like, where's the money for this even coming from? I don't think this is going to happen. But you know what? I got nothing to lose. Let's do it, guys. And then sure enough, you know, we're on Kazakhstan Air flying to Latvia before you know it. But because of being with Global Proving Ground, we had a guy from Maryland that was a part of that organization, John Shattuck, was in the first time, and that it was just different because we didn't know what we were going to get out of John. For fighting like this, you definitely have to be a team.
Yeah.
You can't be just a group of 5 assembled people that just are in a room and it's like, I don't know you, I don't know what your fighting style is, and I don't know what you're like, but hey, we're all going to go fight some other country. And I don't think that could work as well.
Yeah.
Maybe it does, but that's how the same it is for every other team that's there. All those guys from United Kingdom's team knew each other well. Same with Latvia's team, Poland. You know, they're all a pretty good unit together.
So when you guys got to Latvia, the first time you guys fought in season 2, did you guys have a chance to at least train together for, let's say, a few hours, or was it just like, okay, fight?
Pretty much fight. Like,
wow.
we got there to, you know, and we didn't really even know how to train for it. You know, we joked around like, okay, we're gonna stand on this side of the gym, and then you guys stand over here, and then we'll just run at each other. You know, I think we were taking it as serious as we could. But yeah, we basically got there, and my hope was, we're going to get there, and then when they do the lottery to see who's fighting first, you know, it's not us.
Exactly.
So we can see this up close and personal, what we're getting into. And first thing right out of the gate, it's USA versus Latvia.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, sometimes that's good too, I guess, because then there's no, you know, when you're watching a fight, you get that up and that down. You know, maybe your adrenaline already dumps, but we're already getting thrown into it now. So it was basically pick a guy and try to beat his ass.
Yeah.
Try to beat him up and help somebody else out as quick as you can.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you lasted the longest in that fight. You had 4 or 5 people on you at the end before you gave up. But man, I saw you threw those elbows at Slavian, and you cut him up pretty bad in the forehead.
Yeah, that it's a funny story because we didn't really think, you know, we thought, okay, we're Americans, we're wrestlers, you know, we're gonna get in there, and you know, he's huge. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, but I mean, he was a monster. And in the third one, he looked like he put on 10 or 15 kilos of muscle. I mean, he was stacked.
Yeah.
But I go to throw a right hand, and he takes me right down. And you know, all I'm thinking in my head is like, you're shitting me, right? Like all this anticipation, I thought I was going to hit him, and you know, and then I'm on my back. Yeah. You know, just fighting for the remainder of the time we were there. But you know, you're in between trying to not get punched and elbowed by him. I'm getting kicked in the head by, you know, their other team members. Trying to dodge that. There's a lot, man. It's definitely like a war. Yeah. Because you're getting hit from all different angles. I could tell, you know, if we'd have had a little bit more time, I don't know what would have happened. You know, he was getting kind of gassed, and you know, I was working for an armbar there towards the end, and I just felt like if I'd had a little more time, you know, I maybe could have turned the tables in that one, but. I felt a knee bar coming on. I was getting punched in the head, and I just thought, you know, I'm not having a Steven Seagal moment where I'm just going to magically beat the hell out of everybody here. So I'm going to live to fight for the next round. So Jody yelled, "It's be smart, be smart." So I just said tap, you know. And you know, the great thing is everybody stopped right away. Nice. You know, you kind of worry that I wouldn't say. Everybody's prejudiced against Americans, but there's a lot of Americans that give us a bad taste in the mouth of other countries. So that was kind of a concern. Yeah. And you think, you know, do they want to, you know, throw an extra one on and break my ankle? But none of that happened. You know, everybody was great. You know, nothing but respect for all those other countries, and I think the same was felt for us too. But yeah, that was some hell we were in there. Yeah. I do remember, you know, I'm on my back, and I'm trying to throw some elbows, and I'm looking around, and I see John, and he's just getting kneed in the head. And that part from Superbad, that movie, it's weird what goes on in your mind during a fight. And anybody who's a fighter out there will know what I'm talking about. But some of the dumbest stuff will pop into your head. The scene where he throws a wine bottle or a liquor bottle at the cop, and he catches it, and then the cop throws it and hits the old woman and kills her. That's what was going on in my head, because I thought, they're killing him. They just killed John. He's dead. Luckily he was alive, but he definitely felt pretty bad. He didn't look the greatest either. But, you know, that is the funny thing too about Medved. We were when we were talking about how, you know, we thought, okay, they're not that great at wrestling. Medved was an Olympian.
So he was okay. Wow.
And Greco-Roman, because you know, the comment was Shattuck was like, I'll take the Randy Couture looking guy. And we were like, okay. And then we see the Olympic rings on his ankle.
Oh,
like, oh, after the fact. Okay, so he kind of knows what he's doing here.
Wow. Yeah, because my friend Rob, my friend Rob's doing a documentary on Fabricio Verdun. So I was showing him that fight between USA and Latvia, and then Rob noticed the Olympian rings tattooed on him on the leg, and I've watched that fight so many times and I never noticed, and it's good you confirmed. So Medvedev was an Olympian. Damn.
Yeah. So he he was definitely outclassed there. Wow. That's for sure. And I did fight Medved in the third TFC, and I wish I could get that one. I shouldn't have even been in there though, because my hand was broke.
Yeah.
So it basically kind of took away pretty much most of my offense. And then you can't go in against a former Olympian at 50%.
Yeah.
It just ain't gonna work.
Yeah. And so about season 3, because I know you broke your hand in season 3 during the first fight against the Polish, and then you fought the Russians and you fought the Latvians. You literally, by the time you fought Medved, you had 2 fights with a broken hand already. That's crazy.
Yeah. I broke it the first time, and we were fighting Belarus. I kind of threw like a thumb down overhand, and Belarus, they had pretty good boxing. The kid I was going up against, he was young, but man, he was tough. If you've ever seen that one, that's kind of where we end in Mount. Do you remember that one? We were wearing the gray. Yeah,
that's right.
I broke my hand there, and he kind of did a belly-to-belly suplex on me.
Ouch.
And, I always get on message boards or anytime somebody shares something on Facebook about TFC, and it's like, this is ruining MMA. Well, it's not MMA for one. It's fighting, but it kind of is MMA and all in the same time. This is fighting that goes back hundreds of years. Schools, streets would do this, but they said there's no technique involved. I broke my hand. I got belly-to-belly suplexed. I'm getting punched in the face at a very rapid rate. I'm kind of seeing glitter a little bit.
Wow.
I try for an arm bar. It doesn't work. He's still punching me. And then I convert that into a omoplata, and I get full mount. And, that's all that was said then, pretty much, because I just elbowed him until the ref stopped it. How's there no technique in that,
Exactly.
That's why I think nobody really watched these fights. They see, 2 seconds of a clip, and, then they form their own opinion. But kind of went off topic there. But, I broke my hand in that fight, so I'm still trying to hammer fist him a little bit. And, that was our last fight of the day. Thankfully, I went and got it checked out, and I broke it pretty good. Here's a funny story I like to tell people that want to complain about our medical system here. They were great. They took me to the hospital. They X-rayed my hand. They set it, splint it, injected it with some lidocaine. They didn't give me any pain pills. I didn't need any. I was there 45 minutes. They gave me the CD with my X-rays and everything. I looked at the sheet. It was €47, which was like $59 US for all that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I get back. I wait 3.5 hours in an ER. I get 4 X-rays. They gave me 20 Percocets, which I didn't really need, but I guess that's just what common protocol is. And I got the X-rays. They set it and splint it before I could go get surgery. That cost me $1,200.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I don't know where the disconnect is, but so yeah, that was kind of an eye opener for me.
Yeah, because you literally had the same thing done in Europe, and you could compare it with what was done in America, and they literally charged you that much for doing the same thing. Wow.
Yeah. And I waited. And see, I will say the other thing, too, is you don't have full emergency rooms over there. People are a lot more careful with their bodies. If they're sick, they try alternatives, or, they just maybe take a day off, or they just get healthy. They don't run to the hospital for everything. And kind of with the softer society we have today, you know, everybody's at the hospital.
Yeah, everyone needs pain pills. Oh, I'm sick. I need antibiotics. I need this. It's really hard for us to just like deal with pain for 2 days, which sometimes if you get sick, that's the best thing to do. Just let your body fight it off. It's going to suck, but just let your body do it.
Yep. So after that, you know, I had my hand, I had surgery on it. They put a plate in it. And, you know, I wanted to get back into TFC, but I just had to give my hand time.
Yeah.
So it ended up being 4 months, and I thought, hey, you know what, surgeon, he gave me the go-ahead. And then sure enough, first punch I throw, you know, I kind of was hesitant on that. You're in the zone, and nobody's beat Poland before.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there was a lot of rah-rah and yelling beforehand from them. You know, they get into people's heads that way, and rightfully so. They were the top dogs. We were all just kind of off to the side, quiet, you know, let's just get it done. So, you know, when they jumped the gun, you know, Sergey, the ref, was, you know, still waiting to get everything kind of situated. And, you know, my guy starts running at me, so I'm like, whatever. You know, I run up and go to hit him, and kind of caught the back of his head, and I felt I could just hear the plate just breaking. You know, it just sounded like a brick, like just dropping a brick, you know, on the sidewalk, just hearing that. And, you know, in my mind, like, my guy's kind of dazed and seeing stars down there, so I'm getting ready to keep hitting him. The ref comes over. I'm like, oh, great, you know, I'm moving on to somebody else. This is easy. I stand up, and then, you know, everybody's kind of waving it off, and I'm like, God damn, what's going on? So I walk over, you know, they said we're going to reset. So I just go over to tell Jody, I'm like, hey, my hand's broken. He's like, no, it's not. I said, no, it's broke. I know it is. I'm just saying, don't scream at me when you don't see me punching anybody with it. So we restart, you know, I go for a couple takedowns. You know, we win. We're happy about it, but I'm just thinking, what's this going to do for the rest of the day now? Yeah. You know, I feel like we had the squad. We had Alan was a new addition to our team, my friend Don, and then we had Neil and Bronson, and Sean's, I would have to say Sean's the whole MVP of the team, just because he's very deceptive with his, you know, with his stature. But I mean, he's a submission master. You know, I would say basically every fight we've been in, it's usually him getting his guy done with first, and then, you know, moving on to help where, you know, it's needed. But yeah, that was a taxing day trying to figure out, you know, who's going in next, and, you know, there was a lot of like gut checks in the locker room, you know, because it's a fight. Everybody's kind of, you know, Bronson's eyes were kind of screwed up. I think Curtis broke a toe. Wow. You know, so there was hey, you're either hurt or you're injured. Wow. You know, figured out. You know, I was injured, but I want to keep going on. You know, I didn't fly across, you know, the world just to sit on the sidelines. And that's, you know, probably where I should have let my ego sit down for the third fight, because things could have been different. You know, if USA would have won that TFC, we could be on TFC 10 for all we know. Yeah. You know, just because it would have been a lot bigger in the American market. But I don't know. I'm still hoping there's going to be a fourth one. Yeah. At some point. Yeah, they were different. They kind of split up, and they were going for more of a gang tactic, like 3-on-2, and it just kind of screwed with us mentally a little bit, because we're used to kind of firing off, you know, right up to the person we're across from. But yeah, we just kind of, he was going for, I think, Curtis, and I just kind of ran after him and kind of, you know, bumped into him to get a takedown. I think he ended up maybe tripping over another opponent, but we were just kind of off in the corner a little bit, and it's weird because you forget. I couldn't really punch him, and I kind of had like a seatbelt position on him, and I was trying to elbow his head without really throwing my right hand. I forgot I couldn't need him in the face the entire time. But that's where the difference in the rules are in American fighting and MMA. You can't, you know, knee a downed opponent. So I don't know. That's just the things that happen in fighting you forget about. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so
Did the entire team that went for season 3, did all of them get at least one fight, or did a few of them not like fight at all?
Don didn't fight. And, you know, Don was kind of new as far as, like, he's trained with me a little bit here and there, and he's trained, you know, with the guys. We just needed bodies, you know, to have just in case.
Yeah.
And, Neil, I think Neil had, I can't remember. Neil's a young kid, and Neil was doing pretty good. And I think the thing with Don was I kind of wanted to be in there more, and I think Jody was okay with my decision on that, but I should have been out, and I think Don would have done a lot better, you know, than me being in there wounded. But you know, that's just something you got to continually live with. Wish you'd have done, you know, some better decision making. But yeah, the Don would have been the only one that wasn't in that one. And Alan, you know, he was the bigger guy next to me in the first fight against Poland. It was funny what he said to me. You know, Alan's been in some wars. He's fought, you know, Ben Rothwell. He's been a middleweight world champion in some other pro organizations. And he threw a knee on that guy, and the guy like actually took him down. And this is right when the fight was getting stopped, and he told me in the locker room, he's like, right there was when I thought, he said to himself, he's like, I don't really want to be here right now.
Nice.
And I'm just like, man, it's no, you know, like any fighter will, you know, whoever says they don't get nervous, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Everybody gets nervous, or there's always a confidence issue, or something's going on, and that's human, you know. That's what happens. If you've ever seen the movie The Hurt Business, I just got done watching that a couple days ago, and you know, I think they probably still could have done that one better, but you know, every fighter on there, like Tito Ortiz says, before every fight he pukes and he cries.
Wow.
You know, it takes something to want to put yourself through physical punishment. That I think, you know, a lot of people would benefit from. There's, as brutal as it is, there's a lot of things that are organic and just very spiritual about it.
Yeah. Just toughening yourself up in that way helps you with a lot of other things in life, and it also, if anything, it keeps you in the moment, so you're not worrying. You just spend a few hours not worrying. Like when you're training, like in my experience, every time I take a class on BJJ or take a class in Muay Thai or anything, that an hour or that an hour and a half, I just don't think about all the other stuff. And our society is so distracted because we got our smartphones, we got our TVs, we got everything, right? There's screens everywhere. So it's really tough to just like get into your head and just completely be. And I feel like martial arts training, whether it's MMA or it's any kind of traditional martial arts, it's one of the few places you can get that. And it's active. You know, you could do yoga or do like meditation.
But yoga, yeah. I mean, it's just if people, if sometimes I wish like our society was like China's, where hey, morning wake up call, everybody get out in the yard, and we're gonna do stretches all day.
That's
we're
right.
gonna do exercises.
How do you know about that, by the way?
I just a lot of the trainings I've seen, just with working with Shane, and then the books that I've seen some of the monks, you know, like he goes to the Shaolin Temple and trains, and I've seen books with some of the stuff they're, you know, where they're hanging themselves from the neck, just to, you know, train their neck muscles. You know, they're pretty much, you know, hanging themselves. But there's just something about doing, you know, exercises as a culture that I think it's sadly missed. Like, you know, kids nowadays, right, don't even get any activity in school or gym. I think, you know, the countries where they make it mandatory that you serve in some form of military service, I think you have a nation of, or a culture of people that are a lot more, I don't know if I want to say accepting, or the word's kind of leaving me at the moment, but they're appreciative of what they have, as opposed to what I see here, even in our own society. But, But, you know, I think if something like that were to happen, you know, and it's proven, you know, with exercise or activity, you release endorphins that help your body.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I went to college with a lot of people from Korea and people from Singapore, and both those countries had mandatory military service. So most of the guys were 2 years older than the girls in the same grade, because the guys had spent 2 years doing military training after high school. And so the guys were a little older, a little bit more mature, and they had the 2 years military training, so they had more discipline. So those guys did so well in school. They just had the natural discipline, just sit down and churn out a paper, or, you know, just do what's needed. And I felt like I really wish I had that. And I just went straight from high school to college, and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing in college. And I was like, damn it, if someone told me, hey, Jerry, go into the military for 2 years, then maybe I would have done that. But unfortunately, if you join the military in America, you're tied in for at least 4 years, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
4 years is too long.
Yeah, yeah. And I couldn't agree more with you. You know, I'm definitely on with, you know, with that topic, that I think that's necessary, or at least it gives people a sense of drive, or, you know, getting things done, like you said, giving you a, you know, sense of purpose.
Yeah, yeah. When I was in China, so I lived in Chicago for 3.5 years, and then I went back to China when I was 7, or 7.5. My dad sent me to, there's this, every big city in China has this one place. It's like, I don't know if it's state-run, I believe. I just have a feeling it's probably state-run. But it's like all the different types of arts. So you could take dance lessons, you could take kung fu lessons, you could take painting lessons, any type of arts. That's like where all the arts training went. So my dad took me to take kung fu lessons, and those 2.5 years were really good, because, you know, I'm not going to lie and pretend I enjoyed those kung fu lessons, but damn, it gave you something to do. And then, you know, you get, back then the teachers hit you, right? So like the teachers would hit you if you didn't do your moves right. And so like it definitely gave you a sense of structure, and I didn't know it at the time, but it probably helped me concentrate in class, because I did all my running around and jumping in kung fu class, so I wasn't like too distracted during class. And then when my dad went to America in 2000, I stopped the kung fu lessons, and, you know, part of me getting in trouble a lot that year in school is because my dad wasn't there, but the other half was I kind of stopped kung fu lessons. I didn't do as much kung fu lessons, so it's like my dad wasn't there and I didn't have kung fu lessons, so I just acted out in school, and I got in so much trouble. I recorded a vlog about this for those of you watching that are my viewers. I was breaking knives at school, getting in trouble, like all this stuff that, you know, a kid that didn't have something else to let out his sort of, like, you know, just regular boyish kind of aggression, you know, did.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you. And I think the thing too with that is, you know, with fighting with me, like any problems you have going on in life, it definitely it's kind of the way to just get it off your mind. You know, when I first started fighting, I was married, and, you know, I couldn't, I don't know why, but I just couldn't get her to appreciate what I was doing. And, you know, I was constantly having to fight, like, and argue, like, why I'm going to train, like, I'm going to fight, you know, this is something I enjoy doing. You know, and I've been doing this before I even met you. So when we were getting a divorce, and you know, really the only thing that was definitely keeping me in you know, better spirits, and not, you know, really having to worry too much about, you know, the life change I'm going to go through, as far as, you know, selling my house, or getting rid of the house, moving in with my parents, and then finding a place to live. You know, fighting definitely kind of, you know, it didn't take that stress or the worry away, but it definitely makes you feel like, you know, this is a bad situation I'm in that I'm going to get myself out of. You know, I've been in worse situations. So that was definitely kind of I know something that definitely helped me out. That you know, if somebody's out there listening and you're going through some shit, try exercising. I'm not saying you got to go get to a gym and get punched in the face or beat somebody up, but, you know, some people, when they have, you know, a problem, how they handle it is the issue. You know, we're always going to have stress in life.
Yeah.
You know, every time you get pissed off about, you know, your girlfriend, your wife, or friend, if you go out, get drunk, and then do something stupid, you know, what's that going to do for you? That made that problem nowhere near the stuff you put yourself in now.
Agreed. So, talking about training, do you still train on a consistent basis? Or are you kind of taking a break to let your hand heal again? What's sort of the next step for you?
At the moment, I'm kind of, I wouldn't say I'm retired. I've lost my last 4 pro fights, and that's kind of been in the span of, I'm trying to think here, because I had one last year, one this year, and then I think it was 2014. I just, too many injuries. You know, my hand was one thing. I didn't want to break it again. I thought I'm one more broken hand away from a medical bankruptcy, you know, depending on what they need to do. Then, you know, I tore my bicep when I was sparring. I kind of tore a lat, you know, muscle. I had a lot of atrophy to my back when I was deadlifting. And then it's just kind of finding the fights is the other problem. You know, I drove all the way to Tennessee, the one fight I was telling you about, and I got canceled. So not only did I have to take, you know, 2 days off work, all the hours spent into training to get there, and then nothing. Same thing happened to me my second fight in California. I flew all the way out there. The guy never showed up.
Wow.
This is we're the main fight on one of the best cards in California, and he didn't show up. Luckily, I got paid for that, so which ends up being, you know, probably 50 cents an hour for all the training time, you know, put into it. But you can't rely on people like you could. You know, I still kind of get offers. You know, hey, there's a fight in Philadelphia. Oh, I'd love to take it, but what happens when I drive 10 hours, get there, he pulled a rib, and then I got to drive another 10 hours back. You know, that's the problem with fighting. So I've, you know, with that, and then some of the injuries, it's just, and I've put on some weight. You know, I'm up to like around 250. I think it's like the TFCs, I was around 229. So I put on some muscle mass, but I've lost some conditioning, unfortunately. You know, I'd rather just kind of chill for a little bit, let the body heal up as best as I can. And I kind of got more into coaching. And I've been doing some grappling tournaments here and there. You know, it's just my last fight I had, I got elbowed in the face, got a pretty bad cut. And, I mean, it was pretty much like blood everywhere. I think I might have sent you some pictures on that. Oh,
so that's what that picture was. I was wondering. Half your face is like all messed up.
Yeah, that was my last fight I had in February. I fought a guy named Matt Comer. He's a great dude. You know, I think that's the other thing is I like fighting, but the first person I ever knocked out, I was sick to my stomach. Just, you know, brain damage happens. I don't want to be responsible for that, and that makes you hesitant sometimes. And you can't hesitate in the fight game. So I kind of need to get my mind right, I guess. Joe Rogan said it best, you know, fighting is a high-level chess match with dire physical consequences. You can't half-ass fighting, and I might have done that for, you know, my last fight. You know, some guys maybe just don't show up. I'm not that type of person. I've had to cut 30 pounds in 1 week because I wasn't doing what I needed to do to get there. You know, where other people might back out, I'd rather get my ass beat in front of 700 people, you know, than quit on somebody who's been putting his time to train. And, you know, that happened to me in one of my amateur fights. You know, I was out of shape, or showed up, you know, I made weight. I couldn't rehydrate till the end because I had to renew my license. So, you know, I pretty much went out and got choked in like a minute. You know, but I'd rather do that than, you know, be that pussy that doesn't show up, I guess.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, fighting's tough, man. There's the training involved, the time away from home. You know, there's a lot of other things a person would enjoy doing than wearing a sauna suit and running 4 miles, and then drying off, and then doing some weightlifting, and then taking a quick break, and then going to do some pad work. There's a lot of other things you want to do. So I guess I'm just giving myself a break mentally and physically from all that. But I do want to get back down to 205. I think it's going to be my, I did pretty well there at that weight. I just need to stop being lazy and get back down there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the coaching sounds fun. I have a feeling you're a very good coach.
I like to think that it's becoming that way. I never thought I would be a great, coach, but Jody kind of paved the way for me as far as, telling me the mistakes he might have done, and the same with Shane, the mistakes that he's made, and then I've kind of been able to not do some of the things they've done, and then I've made my own mistakes. So I think, by the time I want to fully get into coaching, I have a pretty good idea of things to do. I coached high school wrestling, and that really motivated me to get back into fighting.
Mm-hmm.
When I went pro, just because you see what other people do, and it's fun, and I don't want to be that type of person that says something and doesn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to instill that work ethic into people that, look, hey, I can do this. I know you can do this. You're 10 years younger than me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, the only problem is it's just finding there's not that many people anymore that really want to fight. I don't know why. Maybe it's just kind of blew up so fast. And, you find a lot of people that want to talk like they do. I hear that more than anything is, oh, man, I'm 7-0. People forget that there's a thing called the internet these days, and you can type in a person's name, and there's a national database of everybody who's had a sanctioned fight, and it will tell you how many fights they've had.
Yeah.
But, that's the only thing is getting people who actually want to do it, or not finding, I'll say, the fuck-ups that say they want to fight, they show up for a day, and then you're like, hey, man, I'm going to be here so-and-so at this time. Like, oh, I got something else to do. I'll be there. I just got this, or I got that. There's just too many of the wannabes and pretenders out there.
Mm-hmm.
And even Shane said that about me. He knew that after I showed up for a full week that, okay, this is worth investing my time in. I haven't yet found one of those characters, but I'm sure it'll come along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So you think you're going to stay put in Ohio for now? You don't have any plans to, let's say, move to New York or move to, let's say, a city that has more people and potentially more people to train?
I had thought about one time, honestly. I thought about finding a job at Costco in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and seeing if I could, clean the mats at Jackson's MMA, and then just pay for, monthly fees to get in there and do something, because that's really what you have to do. Ohio, it's getting to be a hotbed. You've got Stipe Miocic, who's the UFC heavyweight champ. Cody Garbrandt, he's the featherweight, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, he's 135-pound champ. He's out in California, but pretty much, to be great, you kind of have to leave,
mm-hmm.
go out west or go to these bigger camps. Strong style MMA out of Cleveland's great, but I guess Stipe's really the only guy there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been on my mind, but at the moment I'm kind of looking at maybe a different position with another company that I've sold some things for.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be a big step up in life. So I think I need to kind of worry about that at the moment, because I don't think fighting is going to get to the point where it's paying the bills like I need it to.
Yeah.
But I was on Joe Silva's. My name was on his desk, and when I was 2-0 as a pro, he wasn't in a rush to sign me to any fights, but he was the matchmaker for the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
I at least got there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about opportunity with fighting.
Exactly. Okay, so let's end it with this then. So, Jody's told me a little bit about where the TFC is. Do you have any sort of updates since it's been a few months since I've talked to Jody?
Mm-hmm. Nothing really.
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm not sure where it is, and I'm not sure if there was any issues with you know, the promotion aspect of it, as far as you know, the USA audience goes. Last I knew, it was kind of tossed up to another entity or another party that was involved with it to, you know, find a location and, you know, find some fighters who are wanting to do it. So I think, you know, as soon as we get the okay to pull the trigger, you know, I think there could be another TFC. And yeah, I think there was something that just popped up. It was like tag team MMA.
Yeah.
South Carolina. I'm not so. I could think at some point there's got to be a. I mean, there'd be a big enough draw for it. You know, I had always envisioned, man, with America, you could have state by state versus state.
Oh, that would be cool.
You could have Ohio versus Iowa.
Yeah.
And then you just, I mean, then it's find out what state's, you know, the best.
Yeah.
Because you know, my buddy Don from TFC, he's German originally, and you know, this is Mikhail, the guy who owns, you know, TFC, the company. Basically, you know, was kind of telling the story. If you've ever watched any videos on it, you know, that's kind of what they had. Like, streets would fight other streets, you know, just kind of like the thing to do. And I mean, Don even remembered that in Germany, like schools would fight. So I mean, it's basic. Everybody understands fighting, and there's so much more involved, you know, when it's TFC.
Yeah.
It's what can I do real quick, because I got to help my friend out, and I'd almost think sometimes that's kind of burnt me out from regular MMA.
Yeah.
As the drive isn't there as much, but I would love to see it come over here, but I do love going to other countries too, because that's a hell of a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, you've traveled the world, so I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The only thing I can hope for is that stuff like what you're doing here, Jerry, which is fantastic. Keep it up.
Thanks.
Is getting the message out.
Yeah.
You know, getting people interested in it, and that's when, you know, hopefully they'll give the okay, and then TFC4 will be here, and you know, I'll be back in some TFC gear, hopefully.
Exactly. Yeah, I was thinking of doing this, and it's good you mentioned this, but you know, the interviews, and then when I get my friends like Rob to do commentary, a lot of the comments are like, where do I sign up? And so I was thinking about creating a Google form or a Google sheet, so all the people that can you know, like they haven't martial arts experience and they really want to try this, if it ever comes to America, I'll have like a collection of their contacts, so that way if it comes to America, even if we can't use them as fighters, TFC could like send them an email and then get them as audience members or something, or sponsors. Be like, hey, if you pay $15, well, you can be in the audience or take pictures with the fighters or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I mean, that's we do have the TFC page. I think that's where we got in touch with. You know, I just kind of made that up on a whim, hoping, you know, it kind of builds some momentum to getting behind this thing. And I mean, it's got us this far, so you know, I think what you got's a fantastic idea. And maybe we can have you doing the commentary ringside.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah. Come ringside, and you know, I'll bring the guys on my fight commentary channel who've guessed in the past, and maybe we can all do it. You know, Trevor's I don't know if he's still blue belt. He might be purple belt in jiu-jitsu. So Trevor's definitely got a lot of ground experience. And Rob, you know, he's the one doing the documentary on Fabricio, so he has a lot of MMA experience. So it's like, you know, I want to show this to Eddie Bravo. Eddie Bravo, if you watch this, like, I'm going to tag you. Like, I've interviewed Eddie Bravo in the past, but I don't know, he's not replying to my emails, and it's breaking my heart. Like, I want to show this to Eddie Bravo. I don't know if you know D'Artagnan Bagby. He's one of the original black belts, the Dirty Dozen, one of the original Americans to get black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I want to show this to D'Artagnan, and, you know, I know there are people who could see this and like would be interested. Just like sometimes, because I have a full-time job like you also do, Ryan, it's like it's hard to like devote your time to one thing. But there's like, if we all just like, I know this is gonna take off one day. I guess it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, well, I mean, for all the people that say jiu-jitsu doesn't work in the street, hey, if you watch that fight against Belarus, jiu-jitsu saved my ass.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, how better to put that on? You know, I get it. You know, a lot of people don't want to see gang fighting. You know, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't see football as 10 times worse. You know. When I got blindsided or I got cracked back on by a linebacker and a wide out and blew my knee out, that's 10 times worse than any injury I've ever had in fighting because you can see those hits coming.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Fighting in general, you know, it's had a tough hill to climb. I can see where some people get freaked out by this, but anybody listening, trust me when I tell you this, that after our first fight with Latvia, and I went and sat in this 14,500 seat arena, and I watched Poland and Russia fight. There's a guy from Russia takes a guy from Poland down, and the guy from Poland ends up getting him in a triangle headlock. The guy's teammate sees this. The other Polish teammate disengages his guy, runs over, and kicks this dude right in the face who's getting caught in a triangle choke.
Mm-hmm.
I was out of my seat enjoying that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's nothing more real than watching fights like that.
Yeah.
Like that, I would proudly pay $150 for a ticket in that. You'd need more teams, though, just so I can know, because those fights don't last long. But
Exactly.
you know, there is one thing we could maybe do. There are certain stipulations with athletic commissions that if it's for charity, you don't have to have an athletic commission involved. So if we can just, you know, raise something for the American Red Cross.
Yeah.
But
or, you know, some foundation for children with a certain sickness.
yeah.
Although maybe they wouldn't want to be associated with that because, you know, the biases against fighting. But, you know, that's very interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I might have to, you know, work that mental muscle and look into that a little bit more. But hey, I'm sure people would pay money to see it, and then it's going to a good cause.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and
just as long as nobody gets injured very bad.
Exactly.
That's why they have insurance. That's why they have insurance policies.
Exactly. And I showed this to a lot of my coworkers. I work for a company that's headquartered in China. So I told Jody this and I told Mikhail this. Like I showed some of the videos of the fights to some of my coworkers in China, but I don't think they're ready for this yet because, you know, recently, for those of you who have been following MMA news, this gym owner in Beijing, an MMA coach, challenged a traditional Tai Chi guy from my hometown. And the Tai Chi guy got his butt kicked so bad, and then the MMA gym owner who, you know, showed that, you know, fighting's evolved now, he had to go into hiding because I don't know if he got death threats or the government told him to get the fuck out. But unfortunately, that's where China's at right now. China's still stuck in this traditional mentality. They still think Kung Fu rules the world. And Kung Fu's cool, but, you know, you have to incorporate it with Jiu-Jitsu and all this other stuff. And China's still in that mentality. And it breaks my heart because, you know, Greco-Roman wrestling, you know, pancration, that's maybe one of the hot spots of the original sort of emergence of martial arts. But then after Kung Fu came from India, it really blossomed in China before, unfortunately, when the communists took over, they banned a lot of more lethal martial arts. But Kung Fu was really blossoming in China. I mean, Jiu-Jitsu came from different sources of Kung Fu, but China's still stuck in it's just so sad that so many other countries have taken what Kung Fu was and just evolved it and made it amazing, which is beautiful in its own way, but it's just like, you know, China, you got 1.5 billion people, come on, get your act together.
Yeah. Some people are a little stuck in their ways, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think it's going to take maybe 3 or 4 more of those brave souls to sort of challenge all those Bagua masters and those, you know, Sanda masters before China really starts going 160. Because, you know, there are more MMA gyms in China, there are Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gyms in China, but still, it's not like taken over sort of the martial arts, this culture like it's done in America or it's done in sort of Brazil. And so
maybe Kung Lee could do you know, a little more for that. I know he's pretty big in that market, and actually Scott Sheely's, I fought for his shows. He was actually, you know, his trainer. So I don't know. Maybe getting him involved might be something too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, Kung Lee's. It's pretty funny because Kung Lee's Vietnamese, but his Chinese, because he's been in a lot of Chinese movies. His name translates perfectly into Chinese, and so it's called Li Kang. Kang means like healthy. So it's actually funny that Kung Lee, even though it's a Vietnamese name, it perfectly sinicizes. So yeah, he always plays like the tough guy roles in Chinese movies, and I know Kung Lee's trying to break into Hollywood now.
Yeah, I know. I think they did the Ultimate Fighter China, and he was the main coach.
That is right, he was.
Yeah. So
yeah,
and Scott was actually on there too, I believe. I don't think I've ever watched that one because I don't know if it was in this market over here, but I'm sure I could probably Netflix it or something. But I don't know. I mean, it looks promising. I can only hope, you know, for the best. It is great though. You know, like people that talk to me, if they see me out, you know, that's one thing they always bring up is like, man, you know, just imagine that you did that. Like, you're one of the only people in the world to go do some shit like that. And you know, I don't have any tattoos, but I think at some point that's definitely going to be the inspiration for a nice one with all the countries' flags, you know, on a piece of my body somewhere. Because that's, I don't know, it was a great thing, and I was extremely fortunate to be a part of it. And hopefully it's not done with.
Exactly. Do you still stay in touch with any of the Latvians? I know you sent me a picture with you and Rihad. Do you still stay in touch with any of those guys?
Yeah, we still talk here and there. Actually, a couple of them. One of the security guards, a big guy. I think I sent you that picture, or at the after party. He actually flew out to California and Vegas. He was here for about 3 weeks, and we were going to link up. He got in touch with me, but I just couldn't get anything scheduled with work, and then ticket prices for airlines jump around all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just you know, that's something else that, you know, I've got friends from around the world now. You know, which is an amazing thing. And you know, I do plan on heading back and visiting, maybe, you know, either Germany or even to Riga. I know there's a couple cruises that go along the Baltic, so that's definitely something on my to-do list. So yeah, I'd say between a few of the Russians, Latvians, and then anybody out there listening, if you're looking for a character, look up Jimmy Justice.
Yes, Justice, the boxer.
Yeah, he's a great dude. Check out his Instagram, and he's over in the States quite a bit too, with a lot of coming and watching the UFCs, and then a couple guys down from Brazil, Hugo Torres, I believe. You know, I follow him on Instagram too. He lives it. He's full time, you know, instructor, weightlifter. You know, everybody I know from over there or met through the TFC. You know, they live it and breathe it.
Why did the Brazilians only fight one round, by the way? I think a lot of people had that question.
From what I can tell, and this is, I'm sure this is as close to the 100% truth, maybe with 2% gossip thrown in, but they originally had 2 more people. One guy got mugged on his way to Brazil and on his way to the airport in Brazil, and got his passport stolen, he couldn't go. The other guy got lost in Paris.
Wow! So one guy just didn't make it to Latvia. He was in Paris.
Yeah, and they didn't have any interpreters. They had to go out and find somebody who spoke Portuguese. They pretty much came unprepared. They were in flip-flops and shorts, and this is Latvia in winter.
Cold. Yeah.
You know, the sun rises at 9 in the morning and sets at 3.
Wow.
And so they had their coach, who was maybe 52. He had to fight. One guy broke his arm, and you know, he was the oldest competitor there, and he lasted the longest.
Oh, that guy was the coach, the guy who held the guy on the ground for a while.
Yeah. So when the one guy broke his arm, they couldn't go on. So Latvia got a bye into the final round. So, you know, that's kind of how it goes, though. You're allowed to take 10 people with you. You know, we only took 8, I believe. and then Jody, you know, Jody would have been the last person to fight. But that's basically why they only fought once. So I'm trying to think in the grand scheme of things who would have got third place, and I think it would have been United Kingdom. I don't know how they awarded it, but I can't remember. After I broke my hand, you know, I kind of had my moment of, you know, I just got divorced 5 days before that.
Wow.
You know, all that paperwork went through. You know, I didn't have insurance. I just re-broke my hand. You know, starting a new life. You know, kind of had my little moment of, you know, where do I go from here? You know, just get drunk and enjoy the night. And, you know, enjoy the money we won. So, can't even remember where I was going with that, but
well, you know, you got to sort of get your own life back. I mean, I'm sure the divorce wasn't the most happy event. So now it's like fighting in the TFC almost was like you to almost assert your kind of singlehood. Be like, yo, I'm doing something for myself. I'm growing as a person in a different way. Wow. And so here's the question I think is on a lot of people's mind. The Swedish team, man, are they going to learn how to fight on the ground? What's their deal?
They just show up to throw punches and party. You know, that's, I mean, you know, a lot of people complain that, you know, we shouldn't have been there because we're professional fighters and it's a soccer hooligans fight. And, you know, Mikhail always kind of shut that down like that. It's fighting. You know, it doesn't matter if this was a soccer hooligan fight, nobody be in gloves. You know. We wouldn't have, you know, the same outfits on.
Exactly.
It's fighting. You know, hooligan fighting, you know, it has its appeal, especially over there. But, you know, I would rather watch people that, you know Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, smash face fu, whatever you want to call it. You know, I want to see good fights and I want to see exciting stuff. So those guys, I don't think they're ever coming back if it were to happen. But they're great. They're great to have a good time with. I will say that.
I bet. I mean, I think Jody said in my interview with him a few months ago, he said you guys like all went out the night before and just like, you know, you guys, the Team America was very sports. You were like, okay, no, we have to be careful. We're not going to drink too much. But they were just like partying it up.
Oh yeah. I think even Russia might have had, you know, they kind of had a, you know, vodka smell to them. And if you look at, I mean, but you know, alcohol is a bit of a performance enhancer. It lowers your inhibitions to an extent, and so I could see why they do that. I almost felt like I needed to be drunk to do something like that. Those guys like to party. You know, we went out and enjoyed the beach for a little bit. You know, it's like 11 o'clock at night, and the sun's just now setting. But you know, we had some pretty funny stories. You know, just being in the country. As far as we got the cabbie we had when we went to the beach, you know, we don't have any service. You know, we only have service and Wi-Fi. We don't know where the hell we're at. We barely have any euros. People see, you know, 3 Americans walk up and they're like, damn, I'm going to make money off these guys. You know, our cab trip, you know, was already at like $23 and we weren't even a fourth of the way there. So, you know, we're just like, hey, stop, let us out here. We don't know where the hell we're going. We got lucky, and some guy drove us all the way back to our hotel for like $5, €5, and that was it. But it was definitely, I wish you had a few more days there because we were so jet lagged. But, I mean, I wouldn't trade that experience for the world.
Wow. And one question that now comes to mind is, a lot of people joked, hey, did any of the first place winners get to shag any of those dancer girls?
Not that I know of. No, we were hoping they would have at least been at the after party, but they had other places to be, apparently. So, yeah, it was hopeful.
Yeah.
But yeah, the ones in the third one were amazing. Like, it was hard to try to get ready to fight people after watching them, you know, do their little routine.
Yeah.
And that looked exhausting. I was out of breath watching it.
Yeah. I made that comment in one of the commentaries. I was like, you know, if I watch pretty girls dance, I'd just be like, I don't even want to fight anymore. But a lot of the European audience that watched that commentary got really mad at me. I'm glad you agreed with me. The Europeans were like, screw you and you pussy, Jerry, man. Watching them dance sexy would have gotten my blood to boil.
Yeah, I think that might have been the goal, but at the same time, it's like, you know, it's not like I've been starving, you know, for a couple months. You know, I can see that, and I can contain myself. I'm not ready to go, you know, bash somebody's head in and eat it.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Okay. Well, dude, I think this is a good place to end off. And what I would recommend everyone do who watches this is leave your comments. I will link TFC USA's page, and I'll link TFC, you know, the main page that Miguel runs too. So you guys can ask comments on the comment section on this video. You guys can talk to Ryan directly if you want to by just going on the TFC USA page. And I think
that, or you could look me up on Facebook, or I have a couple of some fights and some of my injuries on my Instagram. Just look me up. It's Rhino, if I know, is my tag, so just look for me on that.
So Ryan, R-Y-A-N-O.
Yeah, Rhino, R-H-I-N-O.
Oh, Rhino. Sorry, Rhino. Yeah. Okay, R-H-I-N-O. Okay, cool. Yeah, he's the Rhino after. Oh yeah, by the way, let's just get this out of the way. How did you get the name Rhino?
I don't know. I think it's just well, there's two stories to it. One, that it's just Ryan the Rhino. You know, it was kind of you know, put my head down and charge in football, and then same with like you know, grappling, wrestling. The other one was my one buddy made the comment that I blow toilets up like a rhino shits. So that nickname was Rhino shits walls, but that one doesn't look as good on a t-shirt or paper, so yeah. Rhino is fine.
Yeah. That's cool. So now you guys know how he got his name.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Ryan, thanks again for joining us, and so we can talk after this, but I'm going to end this video now. So for those of you watching again, appreciate it if you watched it all the way through. You know, this was a great conversation. Leave a comment, follow him on Instagram, Rhino, and then just press like, press subscribe, press the bell button so you know that you know, next time I upload, you'll get a notification. So everyone watching, thank you, and Ryan, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks, Jared, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.